Hi everyone, it is time for my 2011 top beauty products of the year. And this was a really hard video to prepare for and I guess narrow products down for because it's virtually impossible to recap an entire year of makeup in, 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. So I tried to be pretty cutthroat when picking out products to show in this video, and these are just the ones that really made 2011 for me, I guess. Either they were the ones I used the most, or some of the best releases that I saw companies put out. Just kind of a mixture of stuff. But obviously there are way more products that I also loved too, so if you really want to know everything I loved in 2011, I do have favorites videos on my channel back for every month, but this is just kind of like a quick summary of the things I loved, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to start with face products, and 2011 was kind of the year of finding my favorite face products for me because I found my Mercier Silk Cream Foundation in like January or February of 2011, and it has stayed my favorite foundation all year. It will probably forever stay my favorite foundation because I love it so much. So this is my first 2011 beauty favorite, and then my second is my Bobbi Brown Creamy Concealer, which I just dropped and discovered in 2011. I discovered this around the same time that I found the Mercier Silk Cream Foundation, and this is my favorite concealer. So 2011 was a good year for me, like basic face product wise. For bronzer, the Chanel Soleil Tan de Chanel was definitely my favorite bronzer of the year. I used this mostly in the summer. I picked this up I think in like June, and I used this all the way through like October. I love this product because it's very unique. You don't see a lot of good cream bronzers. It's just a nice cream bronzer, and it looks kind of orangey when you swatch it, but once you really buff it into your skin, it looks very natural. And then my other favorite bronzer of the year is the Sleek Face Contour Kit bronzer, and I also love the highlighter. So those were my two bronzers of 2011. Okay, for blush, I narrowed my favorite blushes of 2011 down to two. You guys know how much of a blush fanatic I am. That is probably my favorite makeup type of product, and I narrowed it down to two, which was really hard, but I'm super proud of myself if you can't tell. The first one is the MAC Mighty Aprhodite Wonder Woman blush from the Wonder Woman collection. I wore this for like 3 months straight this year. I loved it so much, and then I just kind of moved on to other things and didn't wear it as much, but it just has the nicest peachy color. Like just a beautiful peachy blush color. I didn't have anything like this when I got it, so this was definitely one of my top two 2011 blushes. And then the other one, I'm sure you guys can probably guess. It is MAC's Gingerly. I just am so Twitter-pated with this blush. It's just the most beautiful neutral blush I've ever used, and so those were my best finds for blushes this year. Then for lips, I actually don't have a ton of lip favorites from 2011, like really outstanding products, but the first one is probably pretty obvious. It's the Revlon Lip Butters. This is the shade Creme Brulee, and I have a full video review on these and a blog post on these, so I will link both of those down in the info bar if you would like to hear more about them, but these were definitely the best lip product I saw released all year. So these are a favorite. And then the other favorite lip product is one that I don't know if I talked about it too much in videos, but I really used it a ton this year, and it is the MAC lipstick in Creme Cup, as just like a really nice neutral pink lipstick. Like a really great everyday color. Okay, then moving on to eye products. The first one is my MAC Paint Pot in Nubile, because I've used this for like the last 2-3 months straight, pretty much. Just a really nice, creamy, skin-toned eye primer. This is definitely my favorite primer of 2011. Then for eyeshadow, I have a lot of eyeshadow favorites for the year. The first is Inglot, because I discovered Inglot when I was over in New York for IMATS in April. I went to their store and I bought my first Inglot palette. These shadows are probably the most pigmented shadows I've ever used. These are the kind of shadows where you can just touch and you get an entirely opaque like finish off them, and it looks, when I swatch these, people think that I'm pressing really hard into the product, and you can see because you can see like indentations. It's just because they're so buttery that you don't even have to hardly press to make an actual form on the powder. That's how soft they are, which is why they're so pigmented. So I discovered Inglot, which is amazing, and when I'm back in New York again in April, I will probably end up picking another palette up. Then my next two eyeshadow favorites are both palettes, and they're kind of like, they're not twins, but they're like fraternal twins. They're the Urban Decay Naked and Naked 2 palettes. I had to include both of these because for the first 11 months of the year, this one didn't exist and I used this one a ton. But then the last month of the year, I used this, oh, I just hit myself. I used this almost every day. And so these are two palettes that got a lot of love from me this last year. And this one at least released this last year, and I thought that this was one of the best product releases I saw all year. For individual eyeshadows, there were a ton that I liked, but two that really got a lot of use from me this year are, if I can not make a mess and show you guys this, the OCC Smote Loose Color Pigment. This is so pretty, you guys. I got this at IMATS LA earlier this year, and it's just like, oh my gosh, even just swatching it now, I'm like, can't even believe it. It is so pretty. So that's like one of my favorite all over shades for like just like a nice bronzy eye. And then the other eyeshadow favorite is one I've talked about a ton lately, and it's Chanel's Fauve eyeshadow, which is a nice taupey color. Okay, then for eyeliner, I have two eyeliner favorites for the year. The first is my L'Oreal Lineur Intense Carbon Black liquid liner. And I have used this for literally almost half of the days this year. Like, I use this so much, and this has just become my favorite liquid liner. I also really like the Dolly Wink liner. It's just that I like the Dolly Wink liner when I want to wing my liner, but if I just want to do like a normal, just upper lash line, I use this. Then my other eyeliner favorite for the year is the NYX Slide-On pencils, because these have just become like my favorite pencil eyeliners ever because they're so like creamy and pigmented, and just they don't smudge, they wear all day. They're just a really, really nice line, and they have a good color selection too. So that's everything for makeup. I really tried to narrow it down and not spend too much time talking about everything. So now moving on to nail polish. There are three standout nail polishes for me this year. The first is OPI Teenage Dream, which kind of like matches my shirt, I guess. It's all glittery, sparkly. This was like a huge release at like, I don't know, like February, March of this year. I can't remember exactly when it came out, but I wore this so much. I mean, you can see that half the bottle is gone because that's where it actually starts right there. I wore this a ton this year, and it was one of the best polish releases that I saw. And then another favorite for me is one that I wore a ton in the summertime, and it is the Sally Hansen Pacific Blue nail polish. This is definitely an eye-catching polish because when I started wearing this in videos, I had a lot of other YouTubers asking me what polish it was, and I noticed that like several other people went out and got it, so it was kind of like a little trend. I've never started any kind of trend before, so it was kind of cool to like wear something and then have other people asking about it. But it really is like the best royal blue that I have ever found. So I wore that a ton, and then my third and final nail polish favorite of the year is another one that I wore a ton in the summer, and it is OPI's Hot and Spicy, which is like a peachy orange tangerine color. It's so pretty in the summer with a tan. I got a lot of use out of this. So that was my last favorite. Oh wait, no, I forgot. I have a fourth favorite nail polish. I didn't see it sitting there. It's Essie Saint Tropez. How could I have forgotten about this one? This is definitely my favorite neutral of the year because it is my favorite neutral of all time, and I wore this a ton. Even for makeup brushes, there were three lines of makeup brushes that debuted this year that I really, really liked. The first is the Real Techniques line that is available at Ulta. This was created by Samantha Chapman, who's one of the Pixie Woo girls here on YouTube. So it was created by a fellow YouTuber, which I think is really cool, and the line is fantastic. I ended up buying all of the brushes, and I really, really like them. So that was one of the releases that I really liked. The second is the Sigmax line, which is like all kind of like synthetic kabuki style face brushes, and this is the only thing I will use for my foundation now. I will not use a stippling brush. I won't use like a flat foundation brush. I'm using some sort of these Sigmax brushes. These buff foundation into the skin unlike any other brush I've ever used. And then my last favorite brush release of the year was the Sigma Mrs. Bunny collection that actually just released last month. I am so in love with these brushes. I think that they're adorable. I think that they work really well. So those are my last brush favorite. Okay, so only three favorites left. The first one is the Avalon Organics Vitamin C Renewal Facial Cream. And this is the best moisturizer I have found in a long time. I've been using this for months now, and I actually still have like half of it left. It takes forever to use up this jar, but it makes my skin feel so firm and like glowy, and you can find this, I got this at my grocery store in the organic skin products section. The next, my favorite perfume of the year, is one I've talked about a ton recently, and it is the Jennifer Aniston Perfume. I think that this is just one of the best scents that I have seen released in a long time, because it's just very subtle but like sensual and warm. I don't know, I just really like it. And then my last beauty product favorite of the year is one that is just a staple for me, and it is Moroccan Oil. My leave-in hair conditioning treatment. I will never stop using this. I love it so much, and so of course it's a favorite because I used it most days this year. So those are my top beauty products of 2011. Let me know what yours are down in a comment below, or post a video response if you do a video like this. So I hope you all had a wonderful 2011. I certainly did, and I really appreciate all of you who supported me this whole last year. It just means the world to me that you guys take the time to support me and support this channel, and I can't wait to see what 2012 has in store, because if it's anything like 2011, I'm sure it will be great. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you later.